Do you like survival horror games like I do? I fell in love with those in the end of the 90s, when I first played Resident Evil 2 on the first PlayStation. Since then, I have tried almost every Resident, Silent, Alone game and lots of their clones and finished most of them. It's a shame that nowadays there are almost no old school horrors made, at least by big studios. And the ones that are still made have transformed a lot. And when I say lots of clones, I mean it. Yes, there are a lot of well-known survival horror games out there, but it seems I've seen them all, and it's a bummer. Nowadays, in search of something unseen, I descend so deep it sometimes scares even me myself. The only thing left for me now is browsing through obscure region-locked games from the late 90s and early 2000s, in an attempt to find at least something worthwhile. Mostly Japanese ones. Chances are you can find the hidden gem, but mostly you'll see a ton of obscurities you never wanted to know existed. But it's really fun to discover interesting little-known games, and for me as a video blogger, it's even more fun to share such discoveries with you guys. Hello YouTube, my name is Victor and you're watching the Russian Video Game Comrade Show. Today I wanna try something new and tell you not about Russian video game, but about a Japanese one, and I really hope you'll like it. The most interesting survival horror games in my opinion are the ones with steady camera and tank controls. I also like first-person ones, for example, I really think that Resident Evil 7 was great, but mostly I try to find classic Resident Evil 2 and 3 style ones. This is how I ended up playing Athena Awakening from Ordinary Life PS1 game, for instance. Yes, it's not a 100% survival horror game, it's more like adventure one. But still, it's worth a try, even considering there is no zombie shooting here. I can somehow compare it with a recent game called The Medium. I'm sure you're aware of this one. And if you're wondering, yes, this is the Athena from King of Fighters series. And basically, this is the game that tells you how she got her powers. Pros for classic survival horror lovers here are camera and controls, lots of puzzles and the story. Cons are really strange action scenes, more like a rhythm game, not action-adventure, and the fact this game is Japanese only. To play it, you'll need either a language knowledge or a game translator. I myself use Universal Game Translator that utilizes Google API and can really help you play Japanese titles. But A, you have to set it up, and it is not as easy as it could be in the 21st century, and B, you have to have a lot of patience to translate every game screen and Alt-Tab a lot. The good thing is, I'm not the only one in the desperate struggle of finding something new that is old. And there are people much crazier than me who not only seek and play this, but even make fan translations, so more people can play such games themselves. Athena still doesn't have a fan translation, but among recently released translations, I found two more survival horror related Japanese games that caught my sight. One of them is called Seven Mansions. It's a 100% Resident Evil clone for Dreamcast released in Japan in 2000. We'll talk about this game a little later, as it also has a Russian story in it. Check this out, it's a Russian bootleg CD with the game that you could buy in any shop in Russia back in the Dreamcast era. And yep, Russian pirates literally called it Resident Evil. And the other one is an odd first-person survival horror adventure game for PS1 named Iru. And this is the one I wanna talk about today. Have you ever seen the game so bad you really wanted to play it right away? This one is just the case. It was released in 1998, the year Parasite Eve, Metal Gear Solid and Resident Evil 2 were released. And still it looks like this. Yes, if you dig a little deeper, you'll see that low-budget Japanese games are still released in the country of their origin to this day. So probably there is nothing to be surprised about. But when I think that someone in Japan could choose this over Resident Evil 2 or Final Fantasy VII back in the 98, it still astonishes me. Just check this out, it's really hilarious. As Athena is, Iru is also more of an adventure horror game than an action one. And there are no shooting segments here. You just have to explore the school, find and use key items, and talk to the people around to find out the plot and realize what you have to do to advance. 3 or so times in the game you'll have to run for your life. You will be chased by the monsters and will need to find a place to hide. But other than that, there are no action scenes in the game whatsoever. But still, it's an interesting game, at least with its oddity. Iru was made by a Japanese game developer, Soft Machine, and it wasn't their first game. These guys founded their company in 1989 and made a lot of games before Iru. But these were mostly simple sports games for Famicom, Super Famicom and Mega Drive. And of course, pachinko games. Quite a lot of pachinko games. For the first PlayStation, they decided to expand and started making real games. Lucifer Ring, Crysis Beat, Iru, and if I understood everything correctly, all or almost all Soft Machine's games stayed Japanese exclusives. Fun fact, CEO of the Soft Machine company, Akira Nakakuma, worked as a background modeler for Resident Evil Darkside Chronicles in 2009. Apparently, his company didn't end as well as he wanted and imagined. As I've already said, Iru is an adventure horror game. It's inspired by Howard Lovecraft's works, merged with traditional Japanese school horrors. You play as an exchange student Tatsuya Inaba. And as we can figure out from the game's name, Iru is translated as "they are here." We'll have to deal with something from beyond. Our student and his friends stayed late at school to prepare their stand for the school festival. And when it was finally time to go home, our guy realized that the doors were locked and most of his friends were acting weirdly. Moreover, by their behavior, it even seemed that some of them were possessed. And now our goal is to sort all this out and try not to die doing it. When you start playing Iru, it seems that the game is nothing special at all. You even think that if it wasn't so bizarre against the background of its competitors, you'd stop playing it immediately after the first several scenes. But only a few minutes after start you can't get rid of the thought, really? This had an actual physical release back in the day? And it was sold for the same price other games were? Are you kidding me? And the best part of it, exactly this thought makes you continue playing, as you want to figure out the reason this game exists. And in no time you realize at least an hour in the game has already passed and you're already interested in what happened here. No, the game still looks like shit. Controls are still not comfortable, not awful by the way, but there are a lot of games for PS1 with much better controls. But you're already sucked in and you have to play more. Iru has a strange charm, especially if you're into Japanese stuff, and maybe it's the reason someone made an English fan translation for it. They just wanted to check it out for fun and ended up translating it. Fascinating. Just fascinating. If you have a walkthrough, you can finish the game in just several hours. But if you want to try to beat it yourself, be ready to spend a lot of time backtracking, trying to figure out if and where something has changed from the last time you were there. Yes, the game's world here isn't big. There are only 3 floors of locations in the school in the game, and most of the game takes place there. But to move the plot forward, you have to do not always obvious, exact things in exact order. For instance, here, and it's one of the simplest examples. We need our classmates' help. They say that they will help us, but only after they finish their work for the teacher. After that, they ask us to go to the teacher and tell her that girls are almost done. When we head there, we see an argument between 2 teachers, interfere and speak to the one we need to speak. But our character doesn't tell her a thing about girls. We head back to the girls and it seems they forgot about their request too. And what shall I do now, you think? You think that you have to head back to the teacher, of course, then back to the girls again. Right? Wrong! Now you have to go to the men's restroom to talk to your other classmate who asked you to leave him alone just a few minutes ago. But now, after some unrelated with him actions, he's okay to talk. And what about the girls? They moved to a new location and now you can move on to them. But this happens only after that unrelated conversation. And there is a lot of such stuff in Iru. Figure out what you have to do or who you have to speak to move on. I surrendered to trying to figure it out myself after just several hours in game and finished it with a solution. I understood that regardless of plot observation interest and hilarious fun on the visual presentation, I just don't have enough perseverance and spare time to wander forward and back a million times just to find out how this ends. But still, somehow after finishing it, I decided that this game deserved to be spoken of in a video. What can I say? It seems I really like odd Japanese stuff. I really hope that in the near future we gamers will have something new to satisfy our survival horror hunger. The search for the retro hidden gems is fun, but much funner and cooler is that despite big studios almost forgot our favorite genre, indie developers didn't. And new games such as Tormented Souls are really a breath of an old-school air. And despite all the bad things happening around us, the 21st century is really a great time to be alive. Enthusiasts can translate never-released classic games and share them online, small studios can make games for the modern platforms, and we gamers have an instant access to all of this. It's more than I could ever dream about in the end of the 90s when I got my PlayStation 1. And I really hope it will only become better. Thank you for watching this episode. I really hope you liked it. The Russian Video Game Comrade show will still mostly focus on the Soviet and Russian video game industry, but if you liked today's video, I'll also make such ones more from time to time. Please let me know in the comments section below your thoughts about it, and also please press thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're new here today. I also wanted to let you know that if you like what I do, now you can support me with a donation. I still haven't made a Patreon account, as I think that to do this you have to have at least a schedule of your videos and make them on a weekly basis. I'm not ready to do it now, maybe sometime later. But if you like my videos, you can buy me a coffee, and I'd be really grateful if you'll do so. The link to my coffee page is in the description. Thank you for your support in advance. And that's it for today. See you next time. Have a nice day, good luck!